Hello, lovely people of YouTube. So this video is just me talking for probably 10 or 15 minutes about gear and so on, and my kind of thoughts on why I think it's okay to have a ton of synths, even if you're not making money from them. And not just synths, just general studio gear. You might be into guitars, you might be into drums, any other kind of instrument. So I've been on kind of like both sides of the argument with this. I've been making music as Rezzonator now for, well, over 10 years. I've been in various other bands before that. And I got into a really bad habit of thinking, what's the point of having all this gear if I'm not making money from it? Or indeed if nobody is listening to it. And my wife's constantly been saying to me, just do it because you enjoy it. And I'm like, yeah, but what's the point of making stuff if nobody's listening to it? And I've been through all that kind of existential crisis thing. And that kind of reached a head in October 2023, about a bit more than 18 months ago now. And that was the last time I actually played out as a gig as Rezzonator. I played at a festival that was going to be, I thought it was going to be a big audience. I was on last. It was on a Sunday night. By the time I got on about about 9, I think it was, 10 o'clock. Everybody had gone home. There were like 3 people there. And it was a hard set to get through. And I woke up the next morning and I just thought to myself, quite literally, what is the point of doing this? It is just pointless. And I think as musicians, we've probably all been there. I then sunk into kind of like more and more of a depression, low mood, and just kind of got to the stage of thinking, just what's the point of life in general? Which I did get some help about. I went to the doctors, I got medication and so on. I still have, good days and bad days, but I'm a lot happier than I was back then. And so I didn't make any music for quite a long time, which didn't help my mood, because making music makes me happy. And various things happened, and I kind of noodled with some stuff. And I've not actually released any new Rezzonator music since then as well. There is some new stuff coming. I'm kind of gradually getting back into doing it, but that was a bit of an eye opener for me at that stage. And then I kind of got to thinking about all the gear I've got, and like, do I actually need all this amount of gear? Yes, I want that amount of gear, but do I actually need it? And the two things are kind of different things. So that kind of brings me back to sort of where we are now, and kind of like how my mindset has probably changed over the last 6 months. So this came about randomly from watching the latest Ewan McGregor and Charlie Borman series, Long Way Up, where Ewan McGregor and his mate Charlie Borman, they go on bike trips. This one was going all around Europe and so on. And bear with me, this will make sense in a minute. And it started off in Ewan McGregor's garage, where he'd got an absolute ton of motorbikes, because he loves motorbikes. Okay, he's a motorbike nut. And I looked at all those and I thought, there's probably some of those motorbikes he's not turned on or ridden for months, possibly even years. And I started thinking, and that's okay, because he loves motorbikes. He likes having them. He's not having to make money from them. He's not thinking I've got to use them all the time. And that's where it kind of goes a little bit weird with instruments, because I think we've been brainwashed into this mindset that if you've got an instrument, you've got to be playing it all the time, and you've got to be making money from it, which is ridiculous. For most people, having some instruments or indeed a little home studio, it's a hobby. Why do we need to kind of feel like we've got to monetize our hobby? Let's take, for example, somebody who's really into golf. So if you're buying a really good set of golf clubs, I mean, I'm just guessing at this, but they're going to be several hundred, possibly even several £1,000s. You've then got the cost of going to play golf each week, or buying a membership at a golf club. You've then got the ongoing costs of replacing golf balls, probably upgrading your bag if that gets... sorry, postman's just come. That's my dog attacking the postman. It'll stop in a minute. There we go, he's gone. Where was I? Golf clubs, golf bags. So that's an ongoing expense. And, 3 or 4 people who go out every Saturday and go and play a round of golf for 3 or 4 hours, they're not constantly every ball they're hitting thinking, oh, what's the point of doing this? I'm not making money from it. Rather than just thinking, okay, it's a nice afternoon out and I'm enjoying what I'm doing. And I think the same thing should apply to music. So first of all, it's getting over that, you know, not having to monetize your hobby and then thinking about all the extra gear that you've got. So I think that's where we get into what I kind of call the guilt trap, which basically means, you know, you feel guilty for having all this stuff and not making money from it. I'm in a very fortunate position that I do actually make a living from music. That is 90% of my income is from teaching. I teach drums, I teach piano, and I teach music tech, DJ and stuff, both at my studio at home and around a few local schools. And I've got converted my garage to my studio where I teach from, which is where I used to do YouTube videos from. This is now what I call Studio B, which was my daughter's old bedroom. She's moved into one of the bigger rooms because the bigger brothers have moved out. And I moved some stuff in here. So, I mean, in here alone, I've got, and I don't want to sound like I'm bragging at the amount of gear I've got. I just want to tell you that I've got a load of gear and it's okay to do that. So over here, we've got an Akai Force, we've got an MX1, we've got a Deluge over there. We've got the Behringer TD3. There is a modular synth over there. We've got a Moog Sub 37 here. You can just see the end of it. We've got a Roland TB303 here. We've got the Donna B1 there. There's a MPC Key 37 here. You can just see the edge there of a Microfreak. Next shelf up, you see, I mean, things like this. Look, it's not even connected. It's just sitting on the shelf, which is okay. It's fine. I'm looking at there. I should be looking up there. We've got a Model D up there. We've got a Korg Volca bass. There's an Uno drum, an Uno synth. Out in the studio, there's an MPC Live 2. There's a Roland System 8. There's a Korg Minilog. There's an Arturia Mini Freak, Ableton Push, a couple of drum kits, 2 electronic drum kits, an acoustic drum kit, and so on. Now, some of those are used for my work, so that's fine. So I am kind of monetizing my hobby to a certain extent, and I make a living from it, but that's not the be-all and end-all. So we've talked about the golf scenario. Let's talk about something a bit more artistic. Excuse me, like a painter. You wouldn't say to a painter, you've got too many brushes. You're not using every brush all the time. Every time you paint a picture or draw something, if you've got a load of pencils. And also, you're not saying you've got too many brushes because they're not selling their work. They're quite happy just to have, you know, like a portfolio of art that family and friends might look at and you show to people. And I think the same thing should be the same thoughts with music and instruments. You don't need to have a YouTube channel. Yes, okay, I've got a YouTube channel or a Bandcamp page or Spotify account that your music is going on there all the time. It's good just to noodle about with synths and stuff. And part of the reason behind this video came up from, I think if you go on any kind of Facebook group or forums or whatever where people have got a home studio and they post a picture of it, a lot of the comments are positive, like, oh, that's great and so on, looks awesome. But then you'll always get the comments of, oh, why do you need that amount of gear? Let's hear what you're actually making with it. You know, why have you not released several albums? You've got all that gear. You should be amazing musician at playing it all. And it doesn't work like that. It's okay to have a load of gear and not use it all of the time. I've got a huge record collection. I've got over 1,000 records. Some of those records I've probably played for 10 or 15 years. Doesn't mean I've got to sell them just because I've not played them. And I think the same thing is with the gear. Some gear you have may have kind of like some memories. Certain piece of gear might have got you through a bad time in life and you don't want to sell it because you've got that emotional attachment to it. And sometimes it's just the joy of sound, of just coming in here. I'll come in here very often and I'll just like, oh, let's just have a little play with the Sub 37 or the E37 and just find a sound or a patch you've not used before. And it makes you happy. It makes it worthwhile getting out of bed in the morning. And it brings you joy. You don't need to constantly have to be releasing albums and getting thousands of people to listen to it. I used to think that. I've got over that now, and I think I'm a lot happier in my mind now knowing that it doesn't matter if nobody is listening to your stuff. You know, let's be honest, nobody's sitting at home waiting for, oh, I've not heard a new Rezzonator song for 18 months. Nobody cares, to be honest with you. Even like the biggest bands in the world. I mean, I'm a huge Nine Inch Nails fan, a huge Radiohead fan, huge Depeche Mode fan, and I'm not constantly every week waiting thinking, oh, they've not released anything. You know, it's been several years. It's great when it does come out, but let's be honest, nobody is sitting at home waiting for the next Rezzonator track to be released. If you are, then fantastic, let me know. I'll thank you personally. But yeah, at the end of the day, there is so much new music out there constantly being released on a daily basis. Being able to get heard above all of that is really, really difficult. It's not like it was back in the good old days. And I've come to realise that. And I'm at the stage now where if somebody plays my song 5 times or somebody Shazams one of my songs, then that's great. That's kind of all I need. You know, it's all I need. It didn't used to be, but I've come to realise now that it is. And that then brings me on to, you know, that guilt thing of, okay, well, I want to buy this new synth that's just come out, so I need to sell something else to replace that, because otherwise I'm not going to use my old stuff as much as the new stuff. Hey, if you can afford it, don't sell the old stuff. Keep it, because you never know when you might want that in the future. I don't think I've ever sold a piece of gear in my life, and I have sold a lot because I used to be in the case of like one in, one out with gear. I've not sold a piece of gear in the past that I've never regretted. I've always come back and thought, oh, why did I sell that? Because that was awesome. That did that. That piece of gear does that. So it's not a cheap hobby, and it shouldn't be that showing off of, oh, I've got all this gear. It makes you happy and you can afford it. Go for it. You know, buy that new piece of gear without having to sell an old piece of gear. Obviously, there's a lot of people aren't in that current situation. You've got to weigh up the pros and cons of, would I rather have this synth now, or would I rather sell that synth and that synth and get that other synth that might do both things? But don't feel guilty about buying that new stuff, and don't feel like you've got to sell it all. Again, this is just my opinion. I'm not saying I'm right or wrong in any shape or form, but this is just my opinion, and by having this opinion, I've personally felt a lot happier over the last 6 months thinking along these lines. So I guess the final message is that, you know, you're allowed to love the tools of music, even if you're not in a band, even if you're not releasing an album or a single. I kind of went through, when I went through this, like my depression a year and a half or so ago, I got to the stage of when I was teaching people, I was thinking, what's the point? You're not going to be in a band. You're not going to make money from playing the drums. If somebody was a bit older and starting lessons, I'm like, what's the point of you starting lessons at this age? And that's a really bad mindset to get into, because it brings people joy. You don't have to be in a band. You can sit at home with a drum kit and learn to play the drums and just put some songs on and jam along with it because it makes you happy. It's a good thing, and that's what it should be. It should be a hobby. If it makes you money, even better, but that's not the be all and end all. The thing with music, making music, playing instruments, is it's okay to love creating sound, playing an instrument without thinking that you've got to monetize it all the time. So that's the kind of the mindset I'm trying to get over. And if that helps people in any way, in the same way as it's helped me with their mindset and things with music, then great. As I keep saying in this video, I'm not saying I'm right, I'm not saying I'm wrong, I'm just saying what has helped me and what has helped me get through being depressed and thinking, what's the point of making music anymore? Because there is a point. It makes you happy. It makes people happy as well listening to music. If we had a world without music, it would be a very sad place. Making money from it isn't the be all and end all. So I hope that wasn't too much of a garbled mess of me talking. I didn't script this. I'm just kind of talking off the top of my head. It's something I've had in my head for a while now that I wanted to get out and share with you guys on YouTube. So go out there and make some noise. You know, turn a synth on, just play with a filter for 5 minutes. That makes me happy. Create a new sound that's never been created in the world before. If that turns into a song, brilliant. If that turns into a few people listening to it, brilliant. Turns into 1,000 people and a few people buy it, brilliant. But don't think that that's got to be your end goal. Enjoy it, make some music, and have fun. So thank you for watching. If you do want to support the channel, now I'm going to talk about monetizing my channel. You can do so via Patreon, but you don't have to. You'll get some free stuff if you do, or just like the video, subscribe it, and share it around. And let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Hopefully I won't get a lot of hate from this and people saying, oh, you got all that gear and you're not making music from it. So we'll see. It'd be interesting to see what comments we get on this video. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you soon. Cheers.